I love this sequence so much in Sinners because it so succinctly captures how music and dance and art can form a generational link between people. It brings people together, it forms an identity, and it also helps you understand who you are as a person. That's the beauty of art. You can look at something from 50,000 years ago and realize that there were people back then going through the exact same thing that you are right now. And that can help you understand who you are as a person and help you move forward in a better way. But what's also really interesting is that studying American history, there is a long history of repression of music and dance because it is easier to control people if you can control how they can express themselves. For example, language is commonly suppressed in order to prevent people from forming bonds and identities and organizing. When it came to slaves coming in from Africa, slave owners would typically organize them in groups that did not speak the same language in order to prevent them from maintaining their identity and organizing and potentially plotting against them. In Hawaii, for instance, the usage or teaching of Hawaiian was banned for almost 100 years until the 1980s when it was finally allowed to be taught in schools again. A great example of the rationale behind this was the Haitian Revolution, the only successful slave revolution. And the reason for that is because Haiti was a sugar colony. And because it's a sugar colony, a lot of people were dying. So there was a high turnover rate of newer and newer slaves coming in. The thing is, though, is that these slaves coming in from Africa still remembered a time before they were slaves. So they were able to forge a cultural bond with these people around them. They were able to organize, and they were eventually able to overthrow their oppressors. The historian Robert Hinton, who writes about this, wrote that after the Haitian Revolution, there were multiple attempts and crackdowns by slave owners to prevent slaves from being able to organize, often only being able to organize in what would be known as a Congo square. Other things, too, was restricting their forms of music and dance, which is so fascinating because you could take away all the musical instruments that someone could have, and they would still come up with something like ham bone. Restrictions on music and dance weren't exclusive to just controlling black Americans. They were also used on multiple Native American tribes because their cultural rituals and dances were considered heathenish, and this was also used in Hawaii as well. The hula dance, for instance, was banned from the 1830s until about the 1880s. One of the things that Sinners captures so well is that despite these restrictions, music and dance might be the strongest cultural link that most black Americans have with their pre-slavery culture and ancestry, which is just a wonderful way to convey that. And it's so remarkable because I believe that is a true mark of American exceptionalism, something that conservatives love to spout, American exceptionalism being a focal point in their arguments for not studying black history or being against diversity, equity, and inclusion, when those things, black history, black culture, is probably the most exceptional part of American history. That's what makes this sequence so good, because it establishes the generational link that music has formed in this country. You cannot have American music without Black America. Almost all of our musical influences come from black culture in one way or the other. And I think that's an amazing thing, and I think that sequence, in such a short span of time, conveys that so well.